Should I just start?
Yeah,
A kick out.
it's 5:30.
Okay. We'll call to order the budget workshop for the Logan Municipal Council on May 12th at 5:30 p.m. For our audience that's here tonight. Hopefully we have some viewers online. We are going to start with a general budget overview by Rich. You want to take us away, Rich?
Absolutely, thank you. Happy to be here, Council, to discuss the mayor proposed budget. I'd like to give just a quick overview of the budget document, especially for those who this is their first year. I think we've had discussions, but hopefully maybe it's a small benefit. I'll try to be pretty quick. The budget is composed of three main sections. We have it's actually four sections. We have the mayor's budget, or the mayor's proposal you can see in the very front, and then we go into a summary. It's a one-page view of the entire city budget. That's where you see the total budget of $219,847,429, which is the balanced budget. We're required to pass a balanced budget. All revenue sources are accounted for and all expenses. Following the one-page summary, which you find on page 2, we have about 20 pages of individual summaries for each fund. And a fund can be thought of as a business unit. Sometimes in the private sector, you'll have a big company who owns several smaller companies. And so they keep books for those smaller companies, and then they roll them up into the one big, large company. Well, that's what we have here. The general fund accounts for all the general public services, police, fire, public works, parks and rec, community development, and general government, which finance, HR, and legal fall into. Then you have the library, obviously it accounts for the services of the library. And sometimes citizens will say, 219 million, that's a huge budget. Can't we just have this thing? Or can't we just cut this? Or can't we do something other than what's in the budget? And to a certain extent, sure, it's 219 million. But those business units, of which there are 20, we account for separately. And sometimes those resources cannot be used for other services. For instance, the library budget, legally restricted by state law, can only be used for the library. Cannot be used for any other purpose. Can't plug a pothole with it. Can't.
Unless it's right in the middle of the library.
Really good point, Jeannie. We can't pay for general services with it. Likewise, we have our 911 fund that you'll see on page 7. We can't use those resources for anything other than running the 911 system.
But they're self-sustaining.
They're self-sustaining as well.
Yes.
Then you have things like some of these special governmental funds like the redevelopment agency. Can that be used to plug a pothole? Maybe, in certain circumstances, if it rhymes with whatever the purpose of the RDA is. Then you have enterprise funds like the electric fund. Can't we just use their funds to plug a pothole? Maybe, under very restrictive circumstances, and if we do it, we could have a new state law named after us. The Logan would stop doing that a lot. So although we have 219 million, and that's a really big budget, as you pare it down, you'll find that each of the services it supports are fairly narrow. And while it is a tremendously large budget, we don't quite have the resources we all wish we had. We wish we could hire 5 more police officers. We wish we had all the funding we needed to open that new station that we know we need for fire. Or did I say police? And then fire. We wish we could open another park. We wish we had that other program. If we had $100 million more, we could really do $100 million of great services for our citizens. Instead, we do the best we can with the 219 that we've allocated here in this budget. Following the summaries for each individual fund, then you have the detail. This starts on page 24 and goes for quite a while. This is the individual line item detail for all of our budgets, and you can see exactly what is being budgeted for each revenue source and each expenditure account. We also have notations in there occasionally for larger accounts. It just breaks out in a little more detail when necessary what it is that's going into that revenue or that expenditure account. You'll also see, just like on the other pages, the summary, the detail summaries for each fund, and in the detail, it's proposed by category. All of these categories are required by state law. It's 2025 actual, the 2026 year-to-date actual, then you have the adopted from 26, and then you have a couple other columns, department proposed, estimated for 2026, which is all the amendments that council makes. That's what the estimated is. And then you have the mayor proposed. As I look at this budget, the two columns that I compare is the 2026 adopted, and I compare that to the 2027 mayor proposed. Those are the two columns that are comparable. Everything else is contextual. The 2025 actual gives us context as to what we adopted in 2026 and what we might be adopting in 2027. The year-to-date actual gives us more context, but it's incomplete as well. It's only year-to-date when I printed this, which was, do I have a date on it? I don't. But it was sometime in April, toward the end of April. Estimated, we've talked about what that is. Department proposed. Department proposed is the least complete of all the columns, but it's a requirement that we send out to departments and they propose what their budget should be. In many cases, it's very similar to what's in the mayor proposed. In other cases, it's just incomplete. We don't do a full-blown administrative fee study. We don't calculate transfers. We don't necessarily project revenues in totality in that column. But we do in the 2027 mayor proposed. That's why when I look at it, I compare the 2026 adopted to the 2027 proposed, and then look for context in the other columns. After the detail, then comes the detail regarding rolling stock, trailers, cars, other stuff that rolls. And then we have the detail on the capital projects as well. And I actually did that in reverse. It's capital projects, then rolling stock. All of the relevant data ties into the budget, and to this, we even give specific accounts where it's budgeted. This also gives a 5-year kind of projection as to what we think might be coming over the next 5 years. Life changes rapidly, however, we do hope that most of the significant projects are included in this 5-year plan. We also have some other pages that are required by state law, including the property tax impact fee schedule, or property tax impact schedule, as well as the transfer schedule that we'll talk about in just 1 minute. Any questions on the budget book itself? I did give council kind of a relevant pages that tie to each of the presentations that you'll hear today, as well as 2 weeks from today. Hopefully that gives some information. If you have any questions, feel free to fire those off.
Well, the capital projects goes much further than 5 years.
Many departments are planning for it. We do have kind of that one column that says
6 to 20, right,
Yeah.
right. But I think that, you know, what is critically important in that column is to look at, like if you're looking at stormwater capital projects, and somebody calls you up and says, are you going to tear up my road again? You can say, well, you know, it's not on plan until 6 to 20 years out. And so it gives some level of confidence to people that we're not going to tear up the road tomorrow.
Perfect. Now, the 2026 column should be coordinated, meaning if we're doing one thing in one area that benefits the stormwater fund, hopefully we're doing the same in the water fund. However, as you get 3 or 4 or 5 years out, that isn't as well correlated. However, that should be something the council's looking at and saying, yeah, if we're tearing up that road for stormwater, let's also do the water and the sewer.
Right. But
Not
6 to 20 sometimes gets changed.
Absolutely.
And so it's not as reliable as the 5-year, but I think that it's important to sort of understand what's in the thought pipeline.
Absolutely. If there are no more questions on the budget book, I'll go on to the fraud risk assessment. Fraud risk assessment is something we're required to discuss in a council meeting, so we're doing it today. As you can see, our point total as is calculated by this state mandated assessment, that we're 355 points of 395, which is in the low to very low category, which is great. We do a great job. The only 2 items that we don't get There is a requirement that all council members do it. Well, it's not a requirement. If all council members participate in training, we can get a couple more points. It's just hard to make sure that those are done within the last 4 years. But if council would like to participate, you do have the link there. And if you do that, please send me the little confirmation, and I will record it and remind you in the future when it happens.
I do those every year.
There is also a commitment in writing to abide by a statement of ethical behavior. This is just simply impractical. To have every single one of our employees do this and then make sure we're always on top of it. That's why we will never get those points. It's just impossible. But you can see we have conflict of interest policies, procurement policies, ethical behavior policies, and I think we do a very, very good job. Again, this is the state's request.
Is the only way to get those 20 points to have every single city employee, part-time, full-time, all
Temporary, who knows?
500 of them?
Every one of them, always up to date. And that's why we don't even try.
Do we have a
Plus, I don't
hotline?
know that it's effective.
Do we have a hotline?
We do have a fraud hotline.
Okay, that's one thing the water district
I check it every
never,
Monday.
we don't ever get that.
You're my favorite, Teresa.
Teresa
I check
has
it every
we
Monday.
got some heavy breathing once.
And that's it.
We try to send out an email once or twice a year just saying, hey, because it is a good thing.
It is. Yeah.
But in my professional opinion, this is good as far as a generic, hey, everybody, try something. But we also think there are other things that we need to do, and we try to do those. And we discuss those in audit committee, the things that we think are important, what will prevent and deter fraud. I also have a designation as a certified fraud examiner because I think that's important to be able to identify opportunities for fraud and try to shut those down. It's impossible to shut down every opportunity.
Correct.
All we can do is try to deter, try to be prepared, try to have good policies in place. But there are lots of people out there trying not to do that. In fact, we get 20 to 30 emails a day where people are trying to steal money from us. That's what happens.
We all get them.
You all get them. They're getting scary. It used to be really
Good.
stupid, like,
They're getting-
kind sir, send me $20,000, thank you. You know, that's easy to detect. But now they're getting more sophisticated, and it's getting harder.
It's hard to tell.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Okay, so that is the fraud risk assessment pay for performance. We discussed this last time. We have 3% set aside pay for performance. We have 2% set aside for market adjustments. The reason we separate those is because not everybody gets everything. Even if you're just an employee, 3% is the good employee. That's the one who's performing. If you're not performing, well, your raise could be much smaller. Market adjustments are based on the market and corrections within the department, things that have to be done in order to prevent massive turnover or other issues, as identified by HR and the department head and the mayor.
So Rich, can you talk a little bit about where the 3% came from? Where did we come up with 3% more money?
Yeah.
Or whatever, you know?
So we've looked through, Emory has a schedule of what many other cities are doing as they've reported. And I do think many cities in Utah are going to be doing sub 3% total in some fashion. We've been able to do 3% because in the past we've been very, very conservative on our revenue projections. And we felt like this was a great path to take. It paid huge dividends. We were able to put aside the excess into capital projects, and all it does is pay things forward. Then next year we raise our revenue projections still conservatively, and we were able to fund our budgets. Well, the state is changing their indicators to us, and so we've had to change our indicators. Internally, I've become more aggressive in how I project revenue, and you will see that as you look at the budget. You can see it. Sales tax, which is our largest revenue source, is relatively flat. However, it's flat as compared year to year. As you compare it to the budget, because I was conservative last year, we still had some flexibility to raise that projection. You can see that in the budget. That's where a majority of our revenue came to the general fund in order to give 3% raises in the general fund. In the library, the revenue levy, the property tax levy, we anticipate is going to increase about by 3%. naturally. That's been able to pay for the library. Most of our other enterprise funds, it was conservatism on my side, coupled with a little bit of growth on the rates that's been able to pay for some of those raises. But in the general fund, sales taxes are our largest revenue source. It is volatile. It goes up and down. I'm more aggressive in how I'm projecting what we think that'll be. I'm still a conservative guy, so I'm not getting wild and crazy out there. But I have had to be more aggressive in how I project these. So what I anticipate is we'll have less going to capital on a year-over-year basis.
Why, do you have any understanding why the state made that change?
Well, they haven't made any significant changes yet, but they're coming. It was just threats that they made. They believe that cities have too much money set aside. They don't want them to have that much money. I get it. I get it.
But if it's not just set aside to sit there, it's set aside and put into capital projects,
Yeah,
Correct.
which is how you could pay for them.
Yeah.
but they don't want that either.
They don't have a bond.
We don't understand it.
The states, there's something called interperiod equity.
Okay?
What that means is that the people who use these stuff in a government environment should be the ones that are paying for it. If you have conservative revenue forecasts and you have excess going to capital projects, that's a future capital project, which means there's a mismatch between the people who are using it and the people who get to benefit it, potentially.
People who
This
are
just
paying
sounds
for it.
exactly
It
like.
sounds dumb.
No, it sounds exactly like what they're trying to do to the water districts.
They are. In fact, if you go to the state auditor's office right now, they state that you should bond. You should be bonding. You shouldn't be saving and doing capital, which I disagree with. I think it should be a mixture, but I do not agree that you should simply bond every time you need something. Get into debt, that just sounds like a bad idea. I think you should have a mixture, a healthy mixture of debt and pay as you go. But the state auditor's office does not believe, and you can go to the state auditor's office right now and see that guidance. That's what they believe, and that's what our state legislature right now believes. Now, wait a few years, and you'll have a city who's overly aggressive, who gets into trouble, and the state is, pounding on their door to fix things, and maybe you'll get a little different signal coming from the state. That's what I anticipate will happen, because we used to be at 18% fund reserve, then they went to 24, then they went to 35 because they said, hey, we've got to be responsible. Now they're wanting to pull it back to 25. And then they'll probably pull it back to 18, then it's like, whoa, we're responsible, we got to push back up to 35. Then we got
But that makes cities, that's really hard on a city.
It's very hard.
Yeah, because it took us a long time to get from 18 to 35.
It took us a very long time.
Yeah.
So anyway, that is pay for performance and kind of an overview. Amber's got a couple items to cover, and then I've got one more item, unless there are any questions.
That's a good question.
All right. Yep, unfortunately, you have to listen to me. So,
We're lucky to have
Fortunately.
you. We're lucky to
Unfortunately.
listen to you.
I don't know. All right, so what I am presenting is the resolution that we do have to bring before council every budget year, and it's in regards to the URS contributions that we make on behalf of our employees. So we are part of the state retirement system, which is called the Utah Retirement Systems, and this is where we are required to bring forward the resolution in regards to the contributions, or the pickup contributions that we'll make on behalf of the employees. And in this resolution, it talks about tier 1s and tier 2s. And that's the one question that I do get with it, is what defines an employee as a tier 1 and what defines them as a tier 2. And it depends on their eligibility date. With the Utah retirement systems, we don't define that. It's when they become eligible for retirement and the URS. So they changed it in July of 2011, where if you are hired eligible, not necessarily Logan City, but any URS employer, you're a tier 1. Anybody after that date became a tier 2. So again, we have to bring forth this resolution in regards to our pickup regarding the 2 tiers. So in this, we pick up 100% of the employee required contributions for tier 1 members. And then the tier 2 members, they are responsible for the employee contributions for the next fiscal year. Any questions?
They're responsible for all the,
Of the
all
employee.
Just the
contribution.
employee portion. So
Okay.
there's the employer portion that we always have to pay, and then there's the employee.
and
And tier one.
is our employer contribution like 70% or is it less than that?
It just depends on what retirement they're in, because you have firefighters, you have public safety.
That's true.
And you have public employees. But, like, I know public employees are about I don't want to give you wrong numbers. I could if you wanted me to give them to you later.
No, I'm
but there's-
just curious because I do it for the water district, so I was wondering.
Are they part of the yours?
Yeah.
Yeah, so yeah, there's the 3 different funds that we have to or not manage, but we have to change the rates for. But yeah, there is the employer portion and then the employee.
Okay, thank you.
No questions for me? Any other questions for Ambry? Thank you,
So
Ambry.
we'll see that resolution next meeting?
Yes.
Next. Budget.
It will be at the budget time.
Yeah.
I think the June
Oh, it won't be? Okay.
16th one, I think.
Okay.
Oh, okay, we don't see it till then.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. Because it's not like one of these meetings. We don't pass stuff in these meetings.
We try not to. We try not to do anything important.
We can tell. Oh, great. Okay, thank you, Ambry.
Yep. And then the next one is an ordinance where we are required to adopt the salary schedules for elected officials and for municipal officers. This one's very hard, especially for you guys, because you guys have to approve your own salary increase. And so we do propose what we suggest that the council and the mayor should make for the next budget year, as well as we give you guys the schedule of what our municipal officers' ranges are for the next plan year or budget year as well. And so with the next year, we are proposing that the council members' annual salary go up to $21,160.05. And there's still the same $300 vehicle allowance that we do pay for you guys. And then the mayor, we're proposing the salary to go up to $130,914.32 with a $6,000 vehicle allowance per year.
So is that both 3%?
It's actually 5%. So we included the pay for performance plus the 2% because history of the council members, for 10 years, they didn't take any raises, which really pushed you guys on the lower end of what other council members make in office. For example, your Cache County Council, they're at $24,000 right now a year, and their chair makes $30,000. We don't have a distinction between chair, vice chair, or council members. And then if you look at Ogden, their council members make $24,822 a year, and they also offer them benefits. So that's an additional cost as well, which ours are part-time, non-benefited. And then Lehigh, theirs is $21,024. They are a bigger city, but they also offer benefits too.
And those benefits are worth $40,000 to $45,000
Yes.
a piece.
Yeah. I know Logan School Board offers benefits to their school board members, actually. So I didn't know.
That's new.
Yeah.
They just barely started.
Exactly.
So that's why we're proposing 5%, is because we do need to make this an attractive position, so we want other qualified candidates to run in the future,
What I think
which is hard
funny-
for you guys too.
What I think is really funny is how many people don't know you get paid.
I mean,
So I don't know
today he
that
was
that's-
surprised it wasn't a full-time position. It was like, definitely not living on $20,000 a year, guys.
And we've had that in the past where council members that got hired on, they said, we get paid for this, because they were just doing it more for a service. But even though it's a very, very small compensation, you guys do a great job for us, which is why we are proposing it to go up to 5%.
And if Herm Olson were here, we wouldn't.
No, he wouldn't, but he'd be right next to me advocating for you guys.
Any other questions for Ambry?
Thank you, Amber.
Okay.
So budget transfers.
Your
This is
favorite
kind of last item,
topic.
I know.
The best topic.
So transfers is a somewhat hot button issue at times, it can be. We routinely transfer it's 5.5% from the sewer treatment fund 7% from the water, and 8% from environmental and electric. It's as a matter of policy, that's what we do. So if I were starting a brand new city, not in Logan, I would probably prefer not to have transfers be a part of that process. It's cumbersome, it's difficult, it's indirect financing. I think people sometimes don't like it because they don't understand it. Therefore, I probably would not incorporate that into that new city. However, if I was starting a brand new city, just like Logan, in Logan's position, with all the things that Logan has, including a lot of not-for-profit and non-taxable entities, I absolutely would propose that we include transfers. And the reason is it helps defray the cost of providing services to those entities, as well as all the other services that we provide. So those non-taxable entities don't pay property tax, but they consume services. And as the city of Logan, the center of this large valley, most of the nonprofits that are not taxable and the governmental agencies and the other entities that don't pay property tax are all located within Logan. We have a wonderful university that sits on prime property on our east bench, and we love it, and there's so many positives that come because of that as a city that they can't really be enumerated. However, there's one large negative, and that is that we don't receive property tax on that property. Therefore, to a certain extent, having this large university makes it difficult for us to survive. However, we do have this transfer, which acts as a fee in lieu of property tax. Now, the other thing that the city of Logan does, or has done, to a lesser extent now, but we have done for quite some time, is we provide services outside our boundaries. We do that currently with the sewer treatment fund, and we do it with a few other areas. We used to do it with our environmental health fund. We still do about half of it, but the other half of picking up the garbage we no longer do. We don't necessarily get a benefit for providing those services outside our boundaries. However, we do get a transfer, which is a fee in lieu of that tax, and it helps us defray the cost of police, fire, public works, and all those other essential things that we do. But for the transfer, we would have to either cut services significantly. You can see what the dollar amount is. It's substantial. It's around, carry the one, carry the seven, 6 million-ish that we bring in through the transfer.
7.
That would be cutting, if you can see on page 2.
Yeah,
That'd be
it's a little
making a
over
cut the size of, say, our
Fire department.
fire department. It's pretty substantial.
Whoa! I mean,
We could-
Chief,
we could
I have an
cut-
option for you.
We could cut half of public works, 3/4 of our police department, and these are all ors, not ands. Or we could cut pretty much everything else in order to sustain a $6 million reduction. in our budget.
$7 million.
That's a lot.
You forgot to carry the one at 7.
Oh, yikes. So we could either cut services substantially, or we'd have to raise property taxes substantially. Now what that would do is it would shift all that burden that we're currently collecting on all these non-taxable entities that are wonderful entities, indirectly through our transfer. We'd shift that to property tax. They'd no longer pay anything, and our little old lady on a fixed income would end up paying,
Triple.
you could fill in the blank. While our general fund property tax is around $2.5 million, we'd have to replace that with $7 million, so we'd have to raise our property tax rate that many times. That would be very, very tough. Now, let's flip this and view this from the taxpayer's perspective. Well, as long as their rate is competitive, they don't really care, do they? For instance, if they were getting power from Utah Power, and Utah Power has a what's it called, a dividend that they pay to their shareholders, because utility stocks are bought for that purpose. They're called income stocks. So let's say Utah Power was providing that service here for about the same that we're doing.
How about Rocky Mountain?
Rocky Mountain, okay, I know, sorry.
Is there a Utah
Is
Power?
there another name for them?
I was trying to, I was like,
Pacific.
There is,
Pacific
there wasn't.
Corp.
I know, I was playing along.
Are they whoever they are anymore? Who do they want to call themselves this month?
Sorry.
they're paying their shareholders a dividend. And as long as our ratepayers are paying a competitive rate, they shouldn't care necessarily that they're getting a dividend. They are a publicly held company. Well, if the city of Logan is providing that service for a comparable rate, which I don't define as perfectly comparable, but I define that as their rate plus 8%, which we are, I believe, below in electric and in other areas, then in fact our taxpayers should be pretty happy with the service they're getting. Not only are they getting a very reliable service, and it is primarily electric, as you look at the detail there. And as long as they're getting a good product at a competitive rate, they should be fairly happy with it. So I do think it's something we need to control. We do have an ordinance 15-40 that was passed back in 2015 that set these rates. It hasn't been changed since then. These rates these transfers are incorporated into every rate study. Most people should be fairly happy with the service they're getting. And I do think it does keep our property tax rate low, and it is a responsible way to fund our government as long as we watch it and we be careful with how we do it.
Well, isn't there a portion of what each one of those enterprise funds does that is supported in part by the whole?
Absolutely.
So there is some element of that percentage that's not directly related to the non-property tax paying entities that live in the city of Logan.
You're absolutely right. Absolutely right. And there are a lot of services that we don't account for. Little things, clearing sidewalks, parks and rec, maybe mowing or doing some landscaping at certain places, including the water fund, the electric fund, and some other areas. Not to mention the fact that our electric fund uses our right-of-way free of charge for the most part.
Well, and they use technology resources, they use the mayor, they use you, they use the attorney, they use risk assessment.
Which we charge them fees for that. And those fees that are listed here are in addition to the transfer amount.
So there's transfers, and then just like Jeannie said, that's more of the administrative fee, and we do charge them for some of those things, but not all.
Sure.
And our admin fee, by the way, is super reasonable. Anytime there is a question as to whether we're being aggressive or not, we ratchet it down significantly just so there's no argument as to say that we're fleecing any of these organizations for the services we provide internally.
How long have we been doing transfers for? The current resolution was 2015. When did they start?
I've been saying we've been doing it for 30 plus years, but I've been saying that for 10 years.
Did you carry the one?
I think it's been...
How many times has the transfer percentage been changed in that time frame?
So when I came to the city of Logan, it was like 10%. We reduced it to 8%. We split out administrative fees to make sure we were accounting for things accurately. Since that time, we've done nothing but decrease it.
And it hasn't been changed since 2015.
It has not.
Do you feel like that's something we need to review anytime soon?
If anything, I think we may need to just watch it in relation to our other revenue sources. We don't want this to become, it already is huge. It already is big.
Yeah.
We just need to watch it carefully. This was part of the concern with us providing garbage pickup services across this whole county. We were going to become the environmental health fund with ancillary city services. So we did pare that back. We made that conscious decision that we can't become the environmental health waste management fund. We want to be the city of Logan. So I think that is likewise, we need to be careful we don't become the electric fund of the city of Logan. We need to become the city of Logan and make sure these other services are comparable.
I definitely wasn't implying we
watch
need to raise it soon, because I'm assuming it gets dropped a little bit over time, more often than it gets raised.
It has been.
As rates go up and growth happens and more commercial industries come in, I would assume that percentage slightly decreases over the years rather than increases.
It has. It's remained steady since 2015.
Yeah.
I think we just need to watch it and be
Okay.
careful. Again, it does help fund police, fire, public works, parks and rec.
And just the policy from 2015 that this percentage is reflecting, would that require an updated policy to make that change if that were adjusted, correct? And
Council
then,
would have to adopt that.
right, so that would, and then Is this what we do here with our transfers? Is this something that is fairly common, within municipalities? I just, for my own, I've not looked at this sort of comparison right before. Can you?
So it is very common in the cities that provide electrical power.
Okay.
And that's kind of the key element. They usually do it with the other funds as well, but a lot of cities won't do it unless they have an electric utility.
Got it. So the UAMPS sort of entities are going to be the ones that are.
So you're looking at St. George, Provo,
Yeah.
Vanderbilt, some of those other ones as well. And you will have some other cities that do it. It is frowned upon by the state auditor's office. There was a law passed several years ago that made it much more difficult. We now have to send this notice to every man, woman, and child in the city, and then we do have to hold this public hearing when we adopt our budget. And we have to discuss both transfers and administrative fees. So we'll do this again on the 16th, I think it is.
Any other questions for Rich? Okay, we'll move to our department presentations. Russ has been patiently waiting for us over
Yes,
there.
it's been sitting
I
there.
think it's important to hear the important stuff.
Take us away, Russ.
I'm going to give you just a quick rundown and then leave time for you for any questions you may have with regards to the budget. So in the Parks and Recreation Department, it's comprised of a couple of different assets, right? 47 parks, a little over 360 acres, 14 different kinds of right-of-ways. Most of those are associated with street realignments, where the city ends up with this extra space of different sorts. 3 facilities, golf course, cemetery, and the Law Plaza. 30 miles of trails and a variety of different programs and a few special events. So in our budget highlights, we are in our second year of the no-fee lease with the school district at the rec center. And our current public use hours are Monday through Friday from 5:30 in the evening to 9:30 at night, and then on Saturdays. The cemetery master plan, we are still working on the improvements for the irrigation system to gain greater efficiency. That plan also looks at columbariums and cremation garden options that have been brought to our attention in the past. And a new indoor restroom and dedicated office space for patrons. It's kind of an embarrassing thing that when we're trying to conduct business with our patrons, that they're using the same space that the staff are trying to take their breaks in. And so we try to schedule that so we have as few interruptions as possible, that they happen from time to time.
And it's also embarrassing that we have retired military people who wait for 2 hours to dedicate a grave and they don't have a public restroom.
All of those things.
Yeah.
Yes. And the golf course improvements, we continue with our golf cart, we have done our golf cart replacement program. I think we've mentioned that in our previous meetings with you. Long-term irrigation system upgrades for the golf course, and driving range improvements. In our fiscal 26, which is our current year, things that have been completed or are underway, the Maple View Park playgrounds are underway. We have the playground units that will be installed by park staff later this spring. The disc golf course restroom in the pavilion for that project is underway currently. They're working on making the utility connections for the restroom. Willow Park Sports Complex, the pavement replacement's been done. And the softball season actually started last night there at Willow Park. Trapper Park Trail Bridge was installed at the end of 2025. That bridge is now in place at Trapper Park. 1800 South Trail, Spring Creek Trail, both of those projects have been completed. And the cart path replacements at Logan River Golf Course is ongoing. And the replacement of the boilers for the leisure pool at the Aquatic Center has been completed, and we're now gearing up to open Memorial Day weekend.
Is the leisure pool the big one?
It's the middle-sized one.
Oh, okay.
It's what some people refer to as the kiddie pool
Okay.
or the mushroom
I was
pool.
like, the restroom, what's a
It's like
leisure
the-
pool?
Let's not refer to it as
Yeah.
a restroom.
It's not the one I use,
Oh,
but
mushroom.
that gets referred to as the
Got the
mushroom pool.
mushroom.
Yes, it does.
Yeah.
Can I ask a question about Trapper Park? Is it scheduled to be closed for the rest of the year still?
No, we're looking to reopen June 1st.
Okay.
So we're in coordination with two projects that are trying to finish up so that we can reopen by that time. One is the canal pipe through the park, and then the other is the riverbank improvements that is mostly under Willow Lakes' obligations. They're wrapping that project up as well. So when we do reopen, and planning on June 1st, we're looking at doing a neighborhood ribbon cutting because the Spring Creek Trail and 1800 South Trail will connect to Trapper Park, and we'd like to do some kind of neighborhood thing
Very cool.
for the reopening of the
Yeah.
park. Yeah. And then the last slide here is just capital improvements moving forward. We're continuing to work on funding and making improvements in the outdoor recreation complex. We have a service road in the cemetery that we need to construct this summer. And then we have a state grant for the riverbank restoration work. This is from Trapper Park, or just downstream of Trapper Park to 600 South.
The Willow Lakes obligation stops at the end of their property.
That's right.
So
Yeah.
it'll go from there
So this
to
is from that Willow Lakes obligation
the bridge at 6 South.
to 6 South.
Okay.
And then the Kunzler Trail, which is the trail that extends from Trapper Park through Willow Lakes and up to 600 South. We received notice from the county wraps tax folks on our request to fund part of that. And
What
then-
part of that is Willow Lake's obligation? They have some obligation.
Their obligation is to match, or they would say if you were talking to them, that the city is to match. So matching funds to build the trail, and currently they are looking at providing the contractor, or their task is to build it, and then we would match to the cost of that. And there's a little bit of question.
But their obligation was 450 or 500,000?
$500,000, I think,
I thought so too.
yeah.
So,
And that's what our records show, that it's $500,000.
and we decided where that trail was to go.
Right, the alignment's already been set.
And so will they have to, are they going to do it in a dollar for dollar sort of format? Or are they going to build their 500,000 and then we build our 450 or whatever?
Well, yes, I say it that way because the entire scope of the trail also leaves Willow Lakes, but is still part of the scope.
Right.
Which they are entirely a part of, right?
Right.
Because we're trying to get to 6 South.
Right.
So once we leave wherever they end, we still have a cost involved to construct the remainder of that trail to get to 6 South.
So it's So when you say Trapper Park to 6 South, are you really only considering the part of the trail that is at the edge of Willow Lakes to 6 South?
No, we are accounting for the end of the bridge, which is in Trapper Park, right? Because
Right.
once you cross the river, the end of the bridge, and then going northwest
Right,
through Willow Lakes. and
but
then
part of that's their responsibility,
That
right?
is their responsibility.
Half
And that's
the
how we're
price.
delineating this too, just that the two entities agreed to matching or to provide a match for funds to get it through Willow Lakes.
So this particular grant won't get it to 600 South.
This grant will get it from the bridge to the confluence essentially, right?
In theory, this grant will get us to Willow Lakes. And then Willow Lakes needs to construct the trail somewhere on the conservation easement, right? Because the conservation easement is owned by Willow Lakes. So somewhere in that conservation easement, they pick up, move it through Willow Lakes, and where they end, somewhere on 14th West, and I'm presuming at the end of their project, then we've got between that point and 600 South to finish the link.
Okay.
And that part of it hasn't been engineered out yet, even though there's been conversations about, how wide it should be, which side of the road it should be on, that it's asphalt. We kind of know that, but we haven't put numbers to that.
But is that along that road? I thought they had to build a
I'll
separate.
say this isn't funding the trail section on 1400 West, because that's part of their agreement on the road.
Yeah, there is that.
Yeah.
But getting it to 6 South is where we need to be. And if there is some,
When you say 6 South, are you talking the 6 South Park
I'm talking to 600 South, the intersection of 600 South
and 1400 West?
14 West.
That's part of their obligation. That,
that's all their
that
obligation.
road from, what would it be, like 11th South to 6 South?
Yeah, it's about 11 South. Yeah, and that's what I'm not clear on. If
That
they-
section of road
If they
is,
have the whole obligation for that,
they do.
then,
We can talk to Public Works, but it was very clear that they were building that road, and as part of that, they were putting a quasi-trail along it.
Well, a separated.
Yeah,
lane.
it's a bike path,
Right.
trail.
yeah. I understand
thing.
it's
Yeah.
separated, just the details of that.
That is,
Haven't seen
my
that yet.
understanding from all of our negotiations with them was, that road was being built with the bike path on it, and that was
Yeah.
completely separate from
The trail.
the trail and the funding that we were spreading with them, which went from Trapper Park to their outflow of their bigger lake, which would then connect there, and then you could go through the neighborhood to the trail.
Yeah, that's what I understood, was you were coming
Yeah.
out, you came out from that trail,
Onto the sidewalk,
over here,
yeah.
not
On the-
over here. So,
Yeah, you come
That's-
out on the north side of 11th South, as I understand it.
no, I thought it was before that. I thought it was,
Or 9th South, maybe? Somewhere over there before it goes north, right? I mean, it's
Well,
gotta
no,
go
so
north
they're-
600 South.
I'm walking the project with them again tomorrow on a few questions, so I'll clarify some of this, but their obligation, from what I remember, was they had to pave they were splitting paving with us, the cost to pave, to where the water comes out of the lake, which would be at like roughly 1200 South, but it's like in the middle of their Willow Lake Drive Road.
Well, that part of it, yeah, we'd like to
Yeah.
get that pinned down.
Yeah, so the exact trail alignment has not been decided yet, but my
Right.
understanding was we were splitting the funding with them 50-50 for the trail through the conservation easement.
Right.
The road portion that runs along 1400 West is 100% on them. And that was in agreement to get their clubhouse, because
That we understand.
my neighborhood would have crucified me if I didn't build that road.
Yeah.
Because you can't run a commercial clubhouse through a residential neighborhood. But, yeah, I think that the road was all one project essentially.
Yeah, it's so
And then we're splitting
totally
the trail,
separate.
correct?
That's what I
That was my
understood.
understanding.
And we had determined the,
Does that sound right?
trail
Russ,
alignment.
other Russ is nodding at me.
Yeah, that's all codified in the.
That's what I thought.
1727, I can get you a copy of that later.
Sure, thank you.
So are we saying this 450?
It should be for the trail through the conservation.
The 450 is our portion of the trail
Yeah.
from the Trafford Park Bridge. How far that 450 goes,
Gets.
you know, that
I mean,
remains. to
the
be
agreement
seen.
has it gets at least to that spillway. You
yeah,
have to get to at least that connection.
But from a funding standpoint,
Yeah.
you're
Well,
saying,
yeah, we were putting in 450. They were a little bit sticklers on it, but we were putting in 450 and they were getting it from the bridge to the
and
spillway.
they felt like they could get it done if they used their own contractors.
And they felt like they could do it for that price
Yeah.
if they could use their own contractors. But there was no maybe on whether we got at least to the spillway. There was a maybe on maybe we got further, but there was no maybe on the spillway.
Correct.
Well, and I share that because to us, it really doesn't make any sense to get to a point that is short of the next city right-of-way. And that's the point
Sure.
here is that this has got to get to 6 South. On whose dime that is, you know, certainly what Russ Hawley has would be helpful to us. But, you know, we just would prefer not having a dead-end trail.
Yeah, and it won't dead end. It'll just currently probably end up on sidewalk for an eighth of a mile.
so Russ,
But that's
and,
not dead end, but it's also not trail.
on the capital projects
You love this.
detail, it had 950 for this line item. Was that what was proposed to RAPS?
Now, that is what was proposed to the state because we were also pursuing state Utah Outdoor Recreation grant funding. So what we wanted to do was match what might come at the time, because we didn't know that RAPS was approved. We found that out this week.
Right, they just meant,
But to match that funding with the state funding to do the project and make sure that we had enough to take us as far as we need to go. There's one thing in there, it's kind of a detail at this point, but it's a concern to us. There is an elevation change getting from the conservation easement into the subdivision. And the way that it's designed right now is stairs. And so we're trying to figure out, is there another way to be able to construct boardwalk for persons that
I thought
can't
we-
do the stairs well
I thought we
to be
went
able to get in?
this way and there were no stairs. We didn't go that way right into the development.
The plan was to go west to the spillway.
Right.
And it was stuck with stairs. There is a connection, we go to the east a little bit that would not have stairs. But we're not sure if we have funding to do that right now.
Why does the west one, I didn't ever remember the west one having stairs at all.
Yeah, stairs.
Yeah, there is.
Yeah, there's definitely stairs. The reason was west was much cheaper to build and you could get way more trail for the dollar. Going east required a lot of boardwalk and a lot more work and a lot of
'Cause there's
environmental,
wetland,
because it's all
yeah.
wetland. And you were essentially trading like a mile of trail for like a quarter mile of trail.
I know.
And the trade-off was stairs currently.
Oh, I didn't
So we
realize
applied
there
for
were stairs.
state funding.
so the 950 doesn't include the RAPS under proposed grant funded FY
I think that's
'27
the total project cost.
total project cost.
Right, that's
And
total project.
And so the RAPS is included.
Is a part of that.
A part of that, and now we know that that's been, okay. And then my other question for proposed on the outdoor rec center, here you've got 352 and in the documents we have 435. And I don't know if, are we going with 435 or 352? I'm looking at page 131 on the Parks and Rec. If I'm looking at it correctly, that's for the outdoor rec center proposed 27 and it has 435.
So
Is that the
we've
top
had-
line item?
Yeah.
Mine's showing,
Yeah, so we've had some
Yeah, no,
work
sir.
that's already been accomplished from what I showed you on the previous slide in the outdoor rec complex, which was a higher figure on the capital part of it. But moving from that, because those projects are already in the queue, What we're looking at moving forward, as you see here, is the 352. And what's targeted for that are infrastructure improvements for the dog park section.
Okay. Are you seeing 352? I mean, 350?
435.
Okay, you do
Yeah,
see
that's what's on there.
435. Okay. I just want to understand
Yeah.
what that
And that's
difference
because
is.
some of those things are already in the works.
Gotcha. So when we approve this, does it need to reflect the 352? No.
It'll be the 435, I just need to
Okay.
find out where it's at.
Page 131, very top line item.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure I
Yeah,
understand.
you're referring to the capital improvement schedule, right, the CIP schedule.
Right, exactly. And it was just saying proposed,
Right.
yeah. Okay, great.
You didn't expect us to grill you here.
Well,
Sorry.
That's fine. This is the end of the PowerPoint presentation. But I'm happy to answer any other questions you may have.
I mean, I told Rich the other day that I think we should put fountains in the golf course, in the ponds. We'll talk about that another time.
Like the Bellagio.
Well, no, not that big. I was just thinking like some nice aeration, help
Some
the
water
ponds look
cannons.
as clean as possible.
It would also keep the geese off.
I also think, Russ, if we allocated some of finance department's budget for koi fish in the ponds, do you feel like that would?
I'm not a
People could pay 25 cents to go feed the fish while they're golfing.
Yeah, the animals create more work, one form or another, so just be aware.
Well, finance doesn't need the money, so. I don't have any other questions. Any other questions for Russ?
Nope.
Thanks, Russ.
Sorry, I have one more. So for things that are on this capital projects list that are listed as further out, that are not being proposed for FY27, demonstrating sort of the general sort of direction of priorities for the department, are those determined within the department, by the board? How? Here's where my question is coming from. As a resident of Hillcrest neighborhood, when I look at I guess, I don't know if this is the correct one or not, but the Foothill Park development, if that is the one so that was something that was, agreed upon when the city sold that land, and that was maybe a decade ago, and that land sits there and waits for development to happen. And of course, we have Lundstrom Park right there, which is the argument that's been made as to why it hasn't been a priority. But I know residents who live right around that area who look at that undeveloped area would love for the city to
But it's
come.
supposed to be an undeveloped park. It's supposed to be
Yeah, it's going to be a nature park, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yes, but with a plan, and we looked at the plan, including a off-leash and leash dog park, a nature walk. There's a plan for it, not heaps of, dirt, and which is what it is. So that's where my question is coming from, as someone I know residents there when I chair at the Hillcrest every year. When are they going to do that? I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah, so where we are right now is we're in a couple of years of catch-up, right? Because, as we consult with the mayor and others in terms of, how we prioritize, it would be on the docket, but, we'll take direction and move forward from there. And so in large, as far as the capital improvement schedule goes, some of those projects, they'll move around. Obviously, there isn't enough resources to do the ones that maybe are 2 or 3 years out, because you'll look at that column and they're huge. And so it's a living document in the sense that, we add additional years at time and then reschedule. But things that need to come to the forefront, that's how we budget for them. But it's not entirely made up of, the department saying that this has got to be. We're going to want to know that, collectively, that this is the direction that we need to head, and that's how it gets to the top. And that's how the outdoor rec complex came to being. There was an opportunity to do something about it. Funding was put together to make that happen. but it is not a 1 year, get it done.
But we got a
to the
huge
next.
grant for that project too, which put it top of mind instead of having to wait in line with everything else.
Yeah.
Unfortunately,
Surprisingly,
we don't
money's a big
have,
part of it.
we don't have oodles of money, and sometimes we do have the opportunity, like with the Trapper Park Bridge, we got a lot of money from the from the state, and the trail is imminent because the developer, it's part of his responsibility, and he needs to get done with his responsibility, so.
You're right. There are other factors that sometimes come together because of timing.
Right.
That could take the precedent or priority on other projects.
Yeah, and I don't think that it's, in a perfect world, we'd say, here's 1 through 10, and we do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, but we don't.
Sure.
But the direction comes from the Parks and Rec Board, the mayor, the council,
And grants.
and grants.
Money talks.
Yep.
Yeah,
Talks,
but-
yeah. When we got it, we
But-
gotta use it when we got it, so.
Yeah, you guys set the priority. 485 is about what we can sustain right now.
485,000 a year.
So that's, you kind of direct that. Heavily reliant, you can see those future years are heavily reliant on
Grants.
grants.
Yeah.
3-to-1 matching. So whatever we prioritize, but right now the recreation complexes kind of suck most of our funding.
Which I know the neighborhood's very excited to have a park on the west side of 10th West for all the people out there. We're very excited for Maple View Park, despite it being named.
But we haven't forgotten about Foothill.
I know you haven't. I just, seeing it on the list and seeing, sort of projections, I just want to ask the question, like, how does this come about? Just because I have gotten asked very regularly in the past, from residents who would like to see something done eventually, given the amount of time that's passed. So, yeah. Thank you.
If there's nothing else for Russ, we'll see you back in a couple of weeks, I guess.
All right.
In June for the public hearing portion of all of it. Chief Thompson.
They come and sit in the corner, right?
I know, they do. They all come and sit in the corner while we approve the budget. Chief Thompson, looking fly?
What's that?
She said you're looking fly.
Well, thank you. Thank you. I'm trying to look professional.
I'm wishing mine was as distinguished as yours. Do you want us to run us through your, I'm assuming you have some slides?
You'd have to not have red hair.
Ouch! Shots fired.
It's the dark hair that makes
I
that
know.
look impressive.
Jeannie just told me my mustache doesn't look impressive.
You just said it didn't look
No, I said it didn't look as good as his, and you said it's the dark hair that makes it look impressive.
Well, it is the dark hair that makes it look
They
impressive.
sell stuff.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah, that's.
gonna take a sip of my drink rather than fire back.
Someone strategically located me between two individuals.
It's good.
I don't know who did it. I just sat where my name tag.
I did it. I did it.
You're lucky he's in charge of that.
I did. Sorry, Chief. Can you just, do you want this? Keep us in line.
No, I understand. It's good. It's good.
Take us away.
Ready to talk some fire budget?
Let's do it.
Excellent, okay. Thank you. All right, well, we'll get started. I only have a couple of slides. I know this is a review for some, but we do have new council members, so I think it's kind of nice to just kind of do a quick review on the structure of the fire department. Just real quickly, we have a total of 72 personnel, 60 in suppression, which you all know that they're cross-trained as paramedics or AMTs as well, with us being an all-hazards fire department. That gives us 20 personnel per battalion with our 3 battalions that we currently operate. That gives us 1 shift battalion per crew. 5 in administration, myself with my 2 assistant chiefs, our training chief and admin assistant. And then in the Fire Prevention Bureau, I'm going to talk a little extra about that with you tonight. We have our 4 people with the fire marshal, the deputy fire marshal, fire inspector, and our receptionist, which is quite a retool from what we've been for the last decade or so. So we'll kind of go over that. So with that, I thought it'd be important. Sometimes I'll take this slide out, but I think it's kind of nice to see the structure of the fire department. kind of focusing on the fire marshal's office. You know, I kind of feel like they're kind of the unsung heroes of the fire service. I mean, their jobs are prevention, and they save through their policies and how they manage, saves a lot of property. You know, and you could say for me, it's like, man, it's like some people say, oh, they're putting you out of business, but that we're okay with that because there's plenty of other work, and we love to see property saved and lives saved, right? And so it's a big deal. And with the departure of Chief Humphreys, he was an assistant chief for a very long time in our department. And as we reviewed it as a department, we felt like it was good to get that leader to be a fire marshal. Logan City has grown. The demand on that department is huge. Just to give you an idea, they handle over 3,000 annual inspections. And it's a crew of 3 out in the streets doing that. And that includes plan reviews, special event reviews, and that stuff just continues to grow. And so it's neat to see the growth in Logan, obviously. But one thing people probably forget is when a new business goes into play or a new business comes into town, those are all good things. But the one thing that remains after the building inspection and all the final inspections, now there's an annual inspection for every one of those new companies that the office handles. So in that restructuring, we did keep one deputy fire marshal with John Keller, and then we just hired our new fire inspector from the university, Lauren Schwanevelt. So we were excited to have her. And then as the mayor had mentioned, we took our part-time receptionist and made Arian a full-time employee. And we did that through Rich helping with some creative maneuvering of dollars. It was really net zero to the taxpayer. We just found the money in our fire budget and made it work. Converted some part-time dollars and allocated those to the receptionist. Because truly, I feel like for a few years that department's probably been a little neglected, and so we're going to watch it a little closer. I'm going to do a better job at educating you on our prevention office because they're so important to our operation. They do a ton of public education, and so we just want to make sure we're monitoring that department.
So Nate, do the fees not cover what you need? I mean, they pay fees to do all the inspections.
Yeah, they do. No, thanks, Jeannie. That's absolutely true. And Rich was good. It took us a little fighting. I think we got there though. He was good, and we're going to focus a little more on those. I think last year, Rich, we saw about 40,000 in dues or fees collected. In talking with the fire marshal's office, we're going to have put a new system in place to ensure that things are being billed properly. And so we're expecting that to go up, and Rich was good to kind of share that with us to help with this department. So that's an excellent point. That was one of the areas that we were able to utilize. And then, like I said, we took the part-time monies and through the North Logan budget in the general fund budget that they contribute to through their contract. Their part-time money also contributes to their part of fire prevention because they use our fire prevention office as well. So
Do we do inspections in North Logan as well?
we do. Yes, in fact, we do
they have
inspections
the
for
same-
all of our contract
Do
cities.
they have the same fee schedule as we have?
Yes,
So-
because our contract cities use our system, so they inherit that. Anything that we're doing in Logan City, they get that service at that
Okay,
same rate.
all right,
Yeah.
thank you.
You had something to add there, Rich?
Almost none of our fees cover the full cost.
Well, no, I understand that.
No.
Private sector fully calculated cost, but I think we do need to look at it going forward and
Because I don't
see
know
how-
that we've adjusted those fees for quite some
in a
time.
little while. I think we adopted it 3 years ago, 4 years ago.
Yep.
And really
Exactly.
haven't done anything with this.
Yeah, and I did talk with Fire Marshal Walker on that. I mean, you probably noticed in the Herald Journal, I believe the county just upped all of their fees because it's been a while for them as well. So it's time for us to look at ours and probably adjust those. And I know how fees are, it's a big demand on the department, particularly if you're going back for 3 re-inspections. Like if you look at a project, for example, like Cytiva was, I mean, that was a millions and millions of dollar renovation, and our fire marshals were there constantly, inspecting fire systems throughout that complex. I mean, there's some big projects that they're over. So we're going to do a better job. We're going to do a better job, and we're super grateful to the prevention office.
Do we know what percentage of an increase it would take to get those fees to where they would cover the cost, or is it even possible?
I don't know that it's possible. Typically in government, we don't often charge the cost of capital. Like we'll charge operational, but we don't really, because it just gets that fee up into a place where it's hard. But we will look at it.
Well, and I think a neat goal too would be, is to at least get to where it could fund a person. Because right now, we're maybe halfway there on a full-time employee, wouldn't you say? I mean, and so I'd love to see, that would be the first goal, is to get to where it could fund someone full-time. And then that next step would be is to hopefully introduce another part-time person for inspections that are dealing with the smaller businesses, I would say the little less complex inspections that have to happen. Because our fire companies also help with those. Believe it or not, all of the companies help where they can, so.
So I understood, I don't know, I can't remember where I heard it, but was there some change, have we made some changes in the way we do the inspections, in the fact that we don't get to come back over and over and over again without it costing the individual construction project more money?
Yeah, so to this point, we have been pretty good partners. I think just we've been really good as a prevention office to be willing to go back. But that's one of the things is without there being a consequence or a hard line in the sand of like, hey, you need to have this sprinkler system tested the next time we come back, or else. We truly, Jeannie, we've just probably been really good to our builders, and I think that's good, right? Well, we want to be good partners, but at some point you also have to say, hey, this is the line. You know, this is we come
You
back.
don't want them to take advantage of your willingness to be a partner.
Yep. And so
Because
that's
then they're
something
not
that's something we're looking at, because really we have probably been overly kind and considerate there in terms of that.
Okay.
So.
Thank you.
I would just add that with Lauren coming from, she was an employee at Utah State University, and having worked on 2 building projects, and Lauren, I was working with her consistently over the past 3 years on our most recent one, on almost weekly meetings. The amount of time and investment and what they do. Number one, I was sad for the university, happy for the city, that when I heard that she was coming on. She's awesome. But seeing what she, the time, what you're speaking to, it's a huge investment of time with new facilities coming on board.
It is.
To ensure from that design standpoint to implementation to actual functionality, that they're actually doing what they should be doing. And the amount of time it takes a human person to ensure that that's happening along, and then multiply that by businesses, that's a lot. So I think you're right, like to at least have a goal to at least fund one position, or look at those fees and think about the direction so that we can continue that.
Well, and we're going to pay really close attention with our forecasting, because they do a phenomenal job. But at the end of the day, even with those boots on the ground, they usually end up about 300 inspections short annually. Like they have to extend those just because there's just not enough time. So we're gonna be diligent there this next year and monitor that. And then just real quick, our 2025 statistics, we had 6,332 911 incidents last year. It's a slight downturn from 24, which is kind of surprising. We've been on a upward tick between 2% and 8% for probably the last 8 years that I can recall since I've been here. So kind of a unique little bubble. Actually, our fire calls increased slightly. If you see the graph there in 25, fire calls are up, and some of those do include service nature, like related calls, such as people trapped in elevators, smoke in a building. I mean, the more and more buildings there are, I mean, we have, you have bathroom fans and air conditioners should have, blow smoke through a building, and they have to be inspected just like a fire. So even though calls are down slightly, fire calls are up a little. Our percentage of EMS has always averaged around 80, but that's been an interesting trend. That tends to continue to trend down a little bit to about 78%, which is starting to trend into a moderate-sized city in terms of percentage. And then that also included with those runs, with those totals, that also included the 11,960 unit responses, which we monitor those because those are bodies on apparatus. So as you guys know, on a medical call, you get a fire engine with 2, an ambulance with 2. That's 2 unit responses. That engine can then leave and go to another call if needed. It's a very efficient way of managing, urban centers that Logan City happens to be now. So,
Chief.
Yeah.
That's like no snow in December, 60 accidents. That's your 1% right there.
Yeah. Yeah, right. Well, and Beaver Mountain calls and crashes in the canyon and snowmobilers. I mean, it's funny you bring that up.
Safer winter.
That's 1 month of decrease.
Well, and probably realistically 3 months.
That was 25, yeah, December 25.
Yeah, we didn't have any snow in
No snow,
December.
yeah.
It is
Yeah.
a mild concern. In our 590 fund, which is the EMS, it is a mild concern, and we're going to continue watching it.
Yeah.
We talked about it at audit committee, and it's something we're continuing to talk about. We need to watch to see if there's some trend that we're missing or some element that isn't being accounted for, but it is a concern. Our expectation is it'll kind of correct itself and work its way out, but we want to make sure it does.
Yeah. I've got a little data on that for you. So, I'd just like to also point out, we try not to be a complete drain on our taxpayers in the general fund. It's actually a pretty surprising number. I mean, as I looked at the numbers this year, we have been busy. As you look at those contracts this year, we have renegotiated every one of those successfully. North Logan is still a work in progress. That's one we're still working on. But regardless, it's still $2.2 million that we bill out in contracts. North Logan's dollars, to my understanding, are the only ones that actually come directly into my budget with the fire department, but the other ones do not. So we did renegotiate with Cache County. You'll notice those, the 4th bullet down. That was kind of that was in a weird number. I think it's much more reflective of the utilization of our services in the canyon and unincorporated parts of the county. So that was an increase. And then Providence was increased to 5% annually, and theirs is now redone for the next 4 years. So airport standbys were up for us. Medical standbys are probably up 28,000 over the previous year. Our wildland deployment was pretty close. The deployment revenues, that was pretty much net, the 175.8. And why that's significant is because it cushions our budget a little bit for us to take care of our 4 stations. That's the money we use to buy things, for example, like new beds. You just don't think about these things, but to replace beds in 4 stations. The chairs in 4 stations, kitchen tables, stuff that is it's just kind of difficult with some of those things to be like, hey, we've got to find the dollars in our budget to do those. It gives us that type of money that helps us a little bit. So that's after we've paid our overtime and the people that have deployed on those calls. So last year was a busy year. We expect this year to also be a busy year. For grants, and this is kind of a good one too. I think this is nice for Melissa and Katie, but with our grant, our mental health grant, we received that grant of $162,000 back in 24-25. Our utilization last year was $5,000 to $6,000 monthly for our personnel. Now this was pretty much told we will have mental health for our first responders through the new Utah House Bill 23. And so what we've done with the help of Ambry, with HR, we're down to $4,000 a month. Not because our people aren't using it. We have probably, through our EAP, we've added our vetted clinicians to the EAP program through the system that Ambry runs. And so wives and families of our first responders are able to utilize our vetted clinicians through the EAP. And it's probably dropped what's coming out of our grant by almost half monthly. So we have extended this money, I believe, out of the 162. When I looked the other day, we still had about 64,000 left. So we tried to extend that money. It's been a great program. But that's, our goal last year was to get it down, and we've almost cut it in half to our current, with our monthly usage.
Nate, what is EAP?
Our Employee Assistance Program.
Okay.
Through the city. And it's part of the benefit package, and Ambry worked with the mental health branch of that and helped us get our 3 or 4, what we felt like were our best vetted clinicians for trauma work added to there, and it's been great for our families. Good. It's been good. And then just a little bit more of the state EMS grant. We usually get each year is between 50 and 60,000. 59,000 is what we got this year, and then our state wildland grant of 31,000, which we've just approved some of that money to replace all our wildland shelters. And then I figured you probably already looked at my budget, but in terms of the fire overall, obviously the 140 line of the fire budget has those divisions in that. I pointed out the North Logan Station operations. That's one of the subsections there of the fire budget. Currently, we have 43 employees in that budget. And then our 590, which is the enterprise fund, all those funds come from our ambulance billing revenues and our EMS themed grants. And currently 29 employees in that budget. So for proposal in terms of dollar amounts, with fire, the $7,205,012, really, I felt like we did pretty good there in terms of really the biggest budget increases there are what was done by the mayor and the city and the council with the proposed increases in obviously wages, benefits, and overtime for fire. So we're grateful for that. Otherwise, in that budget, it's pretty flat for us in the fire budget specifically. Obviously, with the North Logan negotiated rate for 26-27, that is a 5.3% increase over 25. It's not what we wanted it to be, but it is that amount, so that would probably be reflected in that budget as well. And then in our EMS budget, it's down just a little bit, but last year we had to buy new cardiac monitors. So there was $700,000 in that budget last year that's not needed this year, which is good. Now, and also, to add on to what Richie just said, as I pulled the data from revenue from April of 25 to March 26 for that 1 year period, our revenues in terms of collected dollars deposited were up about $232,000 over that previous same time period the year before. I would call that pretty flat in terms of what we look for in that budget. So we are watching it. EMS calls, in particular patient transports, are down slightly for fiscal year 25-26 to date. I think the mayor already nailed it. I put the why. Well, really what we just feel like the mild winter really made a change for the nature of our calls. I mean, in the winter, we're typically going on people that have fallen in the snow and hurt their hip. We got all, the elderly that tend to fall a fair amount. We're up the canyon a lot more. We have crashes. Easily could account for the 1%, but we're monitoring it closely. And we'll see. I mean, maybe it's even a trend of people not activating 911 for some reason, but I'm just not sure about that one because some of the 911 activations are always kind of surprising. You're like, wow, okay. But we'll monitor that closely. Another, I guess, one good thing that did come, I guess there was other good things that came from the ledge session this year, but effective May 2026, as you know, we have to, all of our billing for the ambulance service comes from the base rates from the state. We have to follow their rate and their mileage reimbursement rate. So each year annually, I believe every February, they'll now be required to review the consumer price index of inflation to see what that forecast is going to be. So for example, this year, if it was 3.1%, that's what they would add to our base rates for billing purposes. So total budget for fire with fire and EMS, $12,875,715. So the last little bit here, I just have just a couple more slides for you to kind of just plant the seed. So in terms of forecasting and budgets and operations, really Logan's northwest side has really been on our radar for quite some time. I can think back even into when Chief Peterson was still here, 15 years ago. We've been monitoring that zone, and that zone We have always identified as Zone 73. The airport's out in that zone, which is our jurisdiction. Obviously, the west and the northwest continues to grow. And just to kind of give it perspective, you know, NFPA 1710, which is kind of our staffing standard, our response standard for fire and EMS, the first unit of 911 activation, that standard says we should have at least our first unit on scene within 4 minutes. I pulled 4 calls from the area of 1400 North and 10th West this year so far. Our average is 6. And why is that? Why does that happen? So I think it's important for you just to kind of get the visual. So the red box I've drawn for you is kind of my imaginary, what we look at as Zone 73, which includes the airport. I've just drawn it down just past 10th North, just to get a feel for the numbers. Now those numbers you see are actual calls, fire and EMS combined. And with that data just alone, in that zone right now where I've drawn the box, that's 1,644 calls annually already. Now, 56% of those are North Logan, 44% are Logan, but that's the north end right now, until it's not. You know, we collaborate and we have a contract with North Logan. And so that's kind of what we're looking at. If you look at the 2 red dots there on the right side of the screen, those are the locations of the 2 closest stations into that area. So everyone's driven Main Street, First West, that area. Getting from 1200 East in North Logan or from the University Station down across town, it just takes time. We have to drive safely, even if it's lights and sirens. It can be pretty sketchy. So this is why, you know, it's been on our radar, like, hey, at some point we have to make the move with the station on the north end that's on that northwest side to put a fire station and personnel right in the middle of that. So that's just to kind of show you that. I fully plan on getting you some more detail on that. I'd like to try in the future, when we're not in budget zone, we're going to talk some more about it for you to ask questions and challenge me on things, and I'll do my very best to answer your questions on what we're seeing in terms of concern out there. The other quick thing is just to keep in mind here in the urban, this corridor here with all of these 3 and 4 stories going up, mid-rise and and apartment complexes are great. I get it. But that's transitioning Logan from what would 10, 15 years ago, probably overall a low hazard type city, which is mainly residential, you know, homes and smaller businesses. Well, here again, the NFPA 1710 standard that we try to follow for your initial fire response deployment. I mean, we can get away with, on a house, 15 is pretty good. That gives us the right number. Once we're into a medium hazard or large commercial 3-story apartments, that number goes up to 28 people. And because they take a lot of manpower to manage. So it's something we need to keep in mind as we continue to go up. This is one also to keep in mind of maybe where we rate as a city our size. And look, I think with the NFPA survey, I would even say you'll even see the range of firefighters per 1,000 residents from, I'll even say go as low as 1. You know, you might have 1 per 1,000, and I've seen up to 2 per 1,000. Logan currently, our coverage zone covers about 81,000 people right now with our 3 contract cities and Logan City combined. And that puts us at about 0.77 per 1,000. So we're getting there. We've still got a little more work to do, but as we grow, these are the things I have to monitor and try to educate you on as Logan City continues to grow up and out.
Or we say, look how efficient we are.
Yeah, super efficient. We are, Rich. We are super efficient. And they're really good at what they do. So, and really one of the last things in terms of watch out, things I always like to watch for, we watch the trends in our EMS services and licensure and payment. I would say our third-party biller is doing an exceptional job compared to some others. I think he's averaging he's about up to 42% now, Rich. And nationally, most average between 34 to 36%. So they've done a good job for us. So their collection is good. We just have to watch the trends in transport. And then, of course, it's always a thing, just chasing other cities to retain our professional staff, in terms of compensation. It's super important that we stay in check with them. So with that, if you have questions, great, but at the end of the day, we are super proud to serve our community here, and super grateful to the citizens and the council and the mayor, and we love serving Logan City, and super grateful for it. So with that, questions?
So Nate, if Logan City Fire Department only did Logan City, how many residents are you talking about?
When I looked at it, I had us at about 53,000 for the Utah census for this year. The old census is a little bit lower than that I think some people use but I think we're right in there, about 53.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
You bet.
Any other questions for Chief? We'll see you back in a couple of weeks.
Okay, thank
Thanks,
you.
Chief. Yeah, you can go use them. Michael?
Is this you, Michael? Is this one yours, Michael?
No.
Oh, sorry, but I just kind of popped.
Yep. All right.
It's a shower that one sometime.
It's my first round on this one.
Sometimes people follow you into it.
So
Not today.
Just saying. It's a scary place to be.
We're talking bathrooms.
yeah, no, I was gonna say, do we want to wait? Or do you
No,
want
yeah,
to dive
let's
right
start.
In? Dive right in. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. For those who don't know, this is my first time out doing one of these budget things. Y'all took a little pity on me last year after having only been here 2 months.
No pity
I'm also
Yep.
No pity anymore.
no more. I know. I'm also, for the record, no capital projects, and because we're still paying off this one, and I'm not asking for any money that we don't already have. So
Well.
really, I just kind of want to look at this last year, tell you what's going on at the library. I want to start with our staff. This staff, these are my heroes. They serve the public every day with a smile on their face, and put up with all my crazy changes that I've been putting through.
Didn't they try to burn down your office recently, though?
Yes, they did, but that got us like 100,000 Instagram views.
Did you call the fire marshal before you tried to burn down your office?
I did not. This is why I got to watch what I say to them about not setting things on fire, so they did. Look it up. It was fun.
It was fun.
Yeah, in fact,
Yeah.
if you look at one of my windows in my office, I left some of the flames up.
Okay.
So, anyways, yeah, these guys are great. So we do have a staff of 28 people total, including myself, and I kind of want to run through a lot of the changes that we've been working on, and starting with behind the scenes. The vast majority of the changes that we've been doing over the last year, most of these were actually implemented between June and December, because in December I promised my staff 6 months of no major changes. So we've been going through a lot, from how our supervisors meet with all of the staff, management team meetings. We've converted over to the city's payment system for when we take in our own money. So with that has smoothed out the vast majority of our internal problems. We've implemented new room booking and makerspace booking software called Library Calendar. We've improved our incident reporting, communication channels, Google Workspace. We've been running through standardization and documentation of our procedures. Basically, every time somebody says this is how we do something, I'm like, is there a document for that? So we're building this repository so that if somebody leaves, we know how to do their job and what our standards are. We built in an internal ticketing system for technology problems. We completely, speaking of fires, we did what we burned our scheduling to the ground and rebuilt it from the ground up, so that we knew kind of so I could show that we are best using the resources we have, person power-wise, to cover what we need to cover. Time clocks, we've been working with the board to update those policies. I've redesigned the statistical report. We've kind of restarted small volunteer program, the staff resources portal, and then I've reached out into the community. I've joined the Cache Valley Library Association board. We host a Cache Valley Library Directors Lunch once a month, so we are talking with all these other directors
And then Logan Library has been represented at both ULA, ALA, and other state level conferences. So a lot of behind the scenes that makes us much more efficient and allow us to get all these other things done that I'm talking about in a moment. So on the public services side of things, doesn't seem like a big list, but there is a lot under here to make this happen. When I came in, the book drop was just,
It's David Bowie.
we've changed it, so
The
people
editing might
more
have
have to
to
come
make
in.
sure a little bit.
Oh yeah, we've had some visitors. The makerspace has been opened. We have relaunched holds. Those were shut down kind of with the new building. That was literally the first decision I made as I came in. So if you want to put books on hold, we will pull those for you and pull that in. And I've had people come up and say like, that was great. And I was like, you're welcome. We are just about to implement recommended purchase book plates. So you can, as a member of the public, submit and say, I think you should buy this for the collection. And if we do, yes, that was added. You will not get
Wait,
your name in the book.
Wait, it was?
The one you donated? Yeah, we did add that to the collection.
You didn't tell me.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, well, I'm not telling you now.
You didn't?
So,
It's a public record.
that's it.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So if we buy the book you recommend, we will actually put in a book plate that says this was purchased based on a citizen's recommendation. It's phrased a little different than that. We're not going to name individuals, but it kind of shows people that like we are listening and we are purchasing the books that you are selecting. And then the room booking, and then also with the makerspace, that's now mostly self-service through that software that we installed. So instead of 17 to 20 something Google Calendars that somebody was managing on staff, now it just pretty much runs itself. So if you want to book a room or book equipment, you can just do it online. You come in, show up, and we'll let you in the room.
Very cool.
Programming. We've done a lot of different programs. We've had author Craig Johnson. We had a robotics competition. The one in the bottom right was World Philosophy Day, so we invited a bunch of philosophers to come give a talk. I was not at that one. I heard it was good. These are new regular programs. So these are things these aren't one-offs. These are now ongoing programs that we have implemented in the last year. And we've mostly leveraged a lot of partnerships and some of our new volunteers that we've been pulling in. So we have the American Sign Language Conservation Club. We have a few new other book clubs. The American 250 Film and Speaker Series, and those have been, at least the speaker series has been going so well, we're hoping that next year we'll just pick another topic instead of American history. And we've been working with the university to pull in speakers for that. We've added additional story times. We've done a couple of free clothing swaps. The drum circle happens to happen when I'm not there, so I didn't create that one, but it's popular. So we do run a drum circle once a month. We have the Game of Go Club, web development classes, kids club, our teen advisory board, also popular, our ukulele play along that happens. And then we've also been working with the Warming Center to do in-building outreach. So they come once a week to reach out to the folks they serve when they're closed. So all through the summer, they will have a presence in the library once a week. Partnerships that we've worked with, just mentioned the Warming Center, our volunteers. We just showed a series from the Climate Future Film Festival. NOMOS is free legal advice to folks who don't necessarily speak English. Cache Valley Mutual Aid, Cache Valley Starlight Alliance, Japanese
Outreach.
Outreach Initiative. Thank you very much. Their workshops, they've been doing art, they've been doing sushi, they've been waiting lists for all of their classes. And then the Institute of Government and Politics at Utah State for our America 250 speaker series. So I just want to share a few stats with you. These are numbers of this fiscal year, of which only go through April's stats. So we still have May and June compared to the previous fiscal year. Our study room is up, study room bookings up 76%. So that's 76% over last year. 88% on the conference rooms, 30% on the community room. In-building programs up 26%, total programs up 36%, children's programming up 120%. We have more than doubled our children's programming, and that's through our volunteers, including our bilingual story time.
Adult program attendance up more than double. Outreach events up 45%, and outreach attendance up 22%. So we're even doing more out in the community for that.
So
Yes?
your children's programs have grown by 120%. What about the attendance?
I didn't pull that number.
Okay. Because I know it's high.
It is high. I mean, up until this last year, we ran story time twice a week, plus other kids programs, but really story time was that core. We have added that crisscross applesauce story time, which is a little less of a production and in the children's area, smaller attendance, but we're doing two of those a week. So, and then our bilingual story time is once a week also. So just the adding of 3 more story times a week. Yeah, and not everybody shows up to all of them, obviously. So yeah, that attendance is definitely up. I just don't have that number in front of me.
Okay.
Yep.
Next board meeting.
Sure. Yeah. Actually, yeah, I can pull that number on that. So, and then from a budgetary standpoint, I didn't pull I didn't create a slide for this. Really, the only 2 things I've kind of asked for, and it's just moving money around, is our makerspace didn't officially have a budget this last year, so I wanted to set aside some money. So I can stop getting the emails saying you're over budget on your 0 budget on that, and then to put about $5,000 into our part-timer budget, which will allow us to add to what we're calling substitute part-time positions, so that when somebody calls out, we can call somebody to just come in and cover a shift. And so it's revenue neutral, other than we want them each to work 1 shift per pay period so they don't forget how to do the job. So that's about $5,000 a year. So I believe that's my presentation.
Thank you.
So we did have a letter from a lady who wants you to increase your budget so she can check out more electronic resources a month.
Yes. She asked me who to talk to.
So she talked to us and now we talk to him.
Yeah, well, I mean, you know,
How much do you need?
Do you feel like, for lack of a better term, is that
not a
valid with the general population right now? Do you feel like
No.
we're
And
overstraining that portion of the budget?
So we have Overdrive, Libby, and we have Hoopla, and this is specifically a Hoopla issue, and Overdrive, we buy the content, and then we either have the content indefinitely or till a certain point, and then we have to either buy it again or stop having it. Hoopla is a giant collection that if we put no restrictions on it, they just check it out and we get charged for it. And that's how there was a significant budget overrun prior to my time. So we have set up our account with a budget that is both daily and total monthly, so that we can predict how much we're going to spend. And in that, the number of things that could be put on hold was cut to basically the lowest you possibly can go. And even once a month, the company's calling me going, don't you want to upgrade that?
Can you say, don't you want to lower your price?
Well, yeah. I've implied it. So at this point, there was an initial complaint from the heavy users that you cut it down.
I know one.
Okay.
We know one. We know one here.
I have officially gotten this 1 complaint in the last year. So
I officially complained last year.
Okay, all right, last
2
year.
complaints.
So there's 2.
Okay, so 2 in that.
I have to read books now, so listen to them.
Print, darn that. So at this point, I wouldn't say it's a priority. If I was going to ask for serious money, it would be for staff. So,
Okay.
which I'm not doing this year.
What are we spending on Hoopla right now? Do you know roughly?
Not off the top of my head.
Okay. Is it just under your subscriptions?
Yeah,
Membership?
it's in the subscriptions line. So yeah, we don't break it out by
Type.
correct.
So I read an article the other day that there was the possibility for people who have library cards to also use the resources in libraries that they had some relationship with, like, I can't remember exactly what it said, but it made it sound like there were libraries that if you wanted to use the resources at, say, St. George, that might be a possibility through using your Logan library card. Do you know anything about that?
Currently, no.
Okay.
I'm going to guess as to where that was coming from is one of the things that we will be doing this year is changing what's called our integrated library system from a company called TLC to another one called Koha, which is being hosted by the state library as a group catalog. So libraries from all over the state consortially are buying into this one catalog.
Okay.
That will, side note, save us about $25,000 a year after the first year. Once libraries are in a consortial catalog, theoretically, if you decided to, you could see what other libraries had as if it was one catalog.
Okay.
At the moment, everybody is, well, there's 4 libraries in the north end of Cache Valley that have joined that have their existing relationship. They're using this system. They can see each other's stuff. We're going to join this system, and when we first turn that on, if you come to Logan's website, you will only see Logan stuff. You theoretically could create agreements to allow that to happen.
Okay.
There is no proposal to do that at this time.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I'll see if I can find that article and send it to you.
Okay. Yeah, I would like to read that article.
Yeah.
On the fines and interest revenue, for there's a decrease. Well, the adopted for last year was 5,000. The actuals year to date for fines is 12,400, and the proposed is 8,000. So somewhere in between last year's adopted and this year's proposed, but our actuals are a good bit higher. So I was just curious about that.
I'm going to direct that to Rich, because
Okay.
he comes up with those numbers.
So the way we do projections is we look at a 3-year historical by month. And so I don't know specifically, but as we were looking at these, I think the concern is there's some inconsistency in the revenue. And so we didn't feel comfortable. We felt comfortable increasing it, but just, 16 could be an aberration. It's also going from 16 to 12.
Right.
So we're seeing we're seeing a little bit of decline. And also it could be that much of that 12,000 was in the beginning months and not so much in the last few. I can look, but it's a relatively minor reason.
It is. It seemed the
Yes.
the mayor's proposed was actually low for the actuals.
Yeah.
And which is not, it's okay as long as our overall, and I know you said you moved some, that's why I wanted to ask.
For a source of revenue that we don't know how much it's going to be, it's better to go low.
It's very
Then if we get
Yeah.
extra, then we just allocate it somewhere else.
Yeah.
And we had the same question on interest.
Yep.
And so as a general rule, unless there's something else that overrides it, the
Yeah.
way we budget for interest is we'll take the council adopted reserve level and multiply that by an average sustainable interest rate, something like 3% maybe. I think it's either 3 or 2.5 that I have, and that's where we get the annual amount for interest, regardless of what it actually is. Because right now there are two things. The reserves are fairly healthy in the library, but the interest rates are really high as opposed to historical. So we're earning nearly 6% or have been for the last several years. We anticipate that's going to drop. We hope it drops. We hope interest rates drop just a bit because then we'll get a little more sustainable. So that's why we picked that 10,000 figure.
Okay.
So along those same lines, our intent is to pay off the interfund loan from the library to the electric fund this year at $600,000. That's a lot. So that'll also cause the interest revenue to go down in the future. However, between the reserves that are generated this year that were in 26, as well as the ones that are anticipated to be generated next year, we believe that we'll decrease the reserve below the level that council has established as our sustainable level, but we'll quickly come up to it next year, which is remarkable. We'll have paid off that debt in about 8.5 years. That's a lot of years earlier than we anticipated, but it wasn't a lot of years earlier than we hoped. We were hopeful, we were just realistic that it could take 20 years, and it took more like 8, which is pretty awesome. So what that means to the library, you can see the amount we're putting toward budgetary reserves, $300,000. Nearly 10% of the library's budget will be available for some ongoing things. Now, a chunk of that needs to go into capital replacement, capital.
Like a sinking fund for
Yes,
capital.
something.
Yeah.
And with a $20 million library, that needs to be something substantial, but the rest of it can go toward operations, which would be great. That'll be fiscal year 2028 if everything happens as we're anticipating, which I think there's a high likelihood it could. In fact, if during this year the library is able to save, not expend some resources because things worked out a little better than they thought, that'll also go toward paying it off and giving you a reserve a little more there. Hopefully that. So, and we won't know in finance until this year is complete, more like August, but we'll plan on paying that $600,000 off and then hopefully getting that reserve back up to the target level, and then you're ready to go, which would be really great.
Yeah.
So 2027 might be a little leaner than we hoped. 2028, if everything works out, as long as we spend those on really good things, it's going to be a good year.
Yeah. Clear skies.
Yeah.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions for Michael? Thank you, Michael.
All right, thank you, appreciate it.
Good luck next week.
Yep.
Thanks. Oh, yeah, thank you.
Mr. Hawley.
It's his first turn, too.
I know.
I'm a rookie. This is Earl Lake stuff.
Thank you. I saw you running out of the room. I appreciate it. I could have looked it up, but thank you for taking the time.
Okay. I'm glad that you saved the best for last.
Well, I was like, Kirk's sitting in the corner, so.
He's over there.
Ah, shoot. You're
Yeah,
welcome,
but
Kirk.
he's a whole separate ballgame.
I haven't tapped this twice, so
He's a
yeah, you're
whole
right.
separate ballgame.
We were just so excited for ComDev.
Okay,
They just sit in the corner.
ComDev. This is one of the smaller departments from a budgetary standpoint, but often community development is the first point of contact for a lot of citizens.
Yes.
I'm
I'm not laughing at it. I'm just like, it's very important.
If you want to start a business, come to ComDev. If you want to build a home, start at ComDev. If you want to subdivide a property, come to ComDev.
If you walk into City Hall and you don't know where to go, there's a window.
Come to ComDev.
Somebody?
If you want to make
Go to finance.
if you want to make a complaint
Come
about
to
the library, make it to ComDev. And then, of course, the reception desk is right outside the door there. So.
I've done all those things at least once.
You've made a complaint about the library?
Yes, I've done all of those things.
Recently subdivided too. So our budget's slightly up from last year. We were about 2.5 million last year. Our community development block grant, or CDBG, is slightly down from last year. We have 18 employees, 15 full-time, 3 part-time. And let me just break up the different divisions. So administration, this covers 3 employees, along with a lot of the subscriptions, softwares, trainings, conferences, office supplies, consulting fees, things of that nature. Building safety, we have 5 employees, and they do all the building permitting, inspections. They also do reviews for new developments and then ensure code compliance. Neighborhood improvement is 6 employees, and this division is actually, so Aaron, when I moved in this position a few months ago, Aaron wanted to get back into planning. And so Aaron took my old position, and so his position is still open here. I'm working on promoting within to fill that position, and then planning on hiring a code compliance officer. So that would be a total of 6 employees in this division. Planning is 3 employees, 2 planners, and 1 part-time. And they do things, oh, sorry, let me go back to neighborhood improvement. So they're in charge of all the code enforcement, business licensing, special events, neighborhoods. Public art is, Aaron wanted to keep that, and I really wanted Aaron to keep that. He really enjoys that and he does a good job, so that actually moved over to planning. Planning, like the permitting, things like conditional use permits or design review permits, subdivision permits. Planning was spending a lot of time on the general plan the last 18 months. So we do long-range planning and then different kind of special projects. The Community Development Block Grant, this funds one employee's salary, and then the remaining portion goes to things like new ADA corners, new sidewalks, art, infrastructure, and public services, typically nonprofit. So these funds are geared towards low or moderate income recipients.
And Russ, just that last budget, that dollar amount has been stagnant for many, many years, and it's declined the last several. And so it used to sustain an employee plus some supplies and some general administrative. Well, it doesn't even sustain the employee cost anymore. And we anticipate very likely going to get worse in the future. So it's something that Russ is just kind of planning for. We want to hopefully be able to retain that position to do other things that are important to the department. But just so you're aware, that is.
We don't know how solid that money
It
is.
might be gone next year.
It very well
Is
could,
it-
and we're planning internally to
State?
address that if necessary.
Thanks, Rich. Rolling stock, we are trading 2 vehicles based on our 2026 budget. We don't have any allocated for 2027 as we're not changing any of the vehicles until 2028.
Did I see you got like a new colored vehicle recently? Was that your department?
No.
Colored?
Yeah, it was like
Not-
green or something. It
not
wasn't
white.
white. It's on the parking lot. I was like,
Very unusual.
who the heck's buying not my cars? Which department is it? Do you know? I couldn't remember. It was,
I think it's parking.
oh,
It's
because it was like a Chevy Equinox or some like small crossover in like dark green.
It's unusual.
I walk in that tunnel every day. Every day.
Is that you?
Is it better with the art?
Yeah.
Maybe.
I wish we hadn't put some things on the other one that I walk through every day. But that's okay.
Certain words?
Just certain words.
Okay, I'm happy to answer questions if there are any.
So Amy's continuing to be a planner, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Amy Egbert. She recently advanced in her career and is now a planner too.
Oh, good.
Yeah, she's beginning her certification process. So yeah, we're excited.
Good. And have you had any interest and/or thoughts or desires about expanding our enforcement beyond 8 to 5 Monday through Friday? To having some alternate shifts, perhaps Sunday morning? When you might be able to tell where everybody is really staying? Really living?
It's been discussed. Once you get outside of regular working hours, I don't know. I mean, it's similar to like a police department at that point where you're 24/7 or, and we've budgeted for 2 code enforcement officers and the plan is, regular working hours. Once in a while, they have things like they'll need to monitor a light complaint. And so they'll have to adjust their work day to go out at nighttime and take a light reading with our instrument. But no, nothing serious about that. I do know that some people know that after 5 o'clock,
Yep.
they are off the clock.
Yep. So that's why
Signs will go up, or
that's why I wondered if there was a way that we could do some rotation. because I think it would be effective, but probably hard to schedule, so.
Yeah, I think the majority of the issues are
Less
like the
pleasant.
garage sale signs and things like that.
Oh, I think Sunday morning is a prime time to find 7 or 8 cars in a driveway and park in front of
Oh,
the trailers. and
Yeah, the weekend
Everything
parties and
else.
stuff like that.
So,
I think she's implying over occupancy.
Well, if they're living there, they'll be there Monday morning or Wednesday.
they
or
won't be
whatever.
there at 8 o'clock because they go to work, or they go to work, or they go to school, or they go someplace else. Literally, I drove by one residence on Sunday morning, and there were 1, 2, 3, 4,
Are you looking for another
5, 6,
part-time job?
7, 8, 9. There were 9 cars, a trailer that wasn't hooked up to anything, and another like tow trailer.
We'll file a complaint and we'll do an investigation.
By 10 o'clock in the morning, half of them were gone.
10 o'clock on Sunday morning.
I don't know if it was Sunday, but by Sunday afternoon, Sunday evening, they were, but Monday morning, they were all gone. But I just,
On a different topic, that I talked to Public Works the other day, the discussion we had recently about the bike and ped plan, they are willing to share as well. So,
Yeah, I'm willing to explore an update to our current plan and
his budget's pretty simple, I don't really have anything else to cover on it outside of that one.
we can't use CDBG for bike ped plan, could we?
No, he has,
but we have some other
he has some
budget line items we could put towards.
flexibility, and Public Works has some to
No, I was just
update it.
wondering if we could possibly talk that into being a,
We could use
possibly could.
CDBG for bike lanes.
It partially funded the general plan, so I don't see why it couldn't fund a bike ped plan.
yeah, that's why, what I was wondering. Anyway, it's just an
Yeah.
aside, sorry.
I think it's possible.
But you have other funds.
Administrative.
Yeah. We need to define a scope and
Sure.
then put out an RFQ and get some ideas for budgeting and then go
Yeah.
from there.
For code enforcement, just back to that,
His favorite topic.
do you feel like what do our numbers look like? How do we feel like I think most people feel we're not adequately staffed, perception-wise, because things don't, also not understanding the complaint-based system. The 8 to 5 is an interesting one. I never really frankly thought about. It's a lot of, as a concern, So I was just curious from a staffing and the amount of enforcement, I don't know what you call them, ticket,
Code compliance officer.
Visits.
They'll go out and inspect, and if they find a violation, so they respond to every single complaint. But then they have to go out and collect evidence before they actually will create a case and begin enforcement action, which begins with a very nice letter, and eventually can turn into a not so nice letter, and then, things like fines and penalties and things like that. But that question is hard to answer. I talk to folks all the time that think we're too heavy-handed, we're too restrictive, and we should chill out on our code enforcement. I talk to other people that are like, you need to hire more, we need to clean up this, area. And so I think the answer to that is collectively you look at the city and you're like, okay, are things in pretty good shape or not in really good shape? And then you would respond accordingly. As far as complaints and like active cases, it's been pretty consistent over the last several years, and the 3 employees manage the caseloads pretty well. They're also custom where you'll have a person that's in violation, but it's a unique situation. They need a couple extra weeks and then they'll fix it. Where other times people are like, oh, I can have that done in 2 days. And so we try to be a little bit flexible, because the goal is to fix the issue. Because if we levy fines, and actually we can go to small claims court, and we've done that, and we've won some money, but the issue there is the judge awards the money, but the problem is still there. And so we try to fix the problem. That's our real first goal. And we try to work with folks and set reasonable timelines. Obviously, we're not totally cush and say, oh yeah, take 6 months, take your time kind of thing. But oftentimes they have
semester.
Yeah, but if you talk with the person, they often are in a situation like, hey, my nephew's here for a month while he's in between houses, and he's got a job in Nebraska, but he doesn't start for 3.5 weeks, and so every situation's unique. So to answer your question, I think in general the city looks pretty good, and we get a lot of positive feedback. But we hear it from both sides too, so.
Okay, that's good to know. Thank you. I just wasn't sure from your perspective, that area. You hear what people's perception is, but perception and reality are, can be very different. And I don't know what, I don't know what.
I think from a personnel and capability standpoint, we have the ability to do things. The question is if there's a certain violation or a certain problem that's a real issue and it seems to be getting worse, then that's where we could look at that and say, how do we ramp up maybe the fines or ramp up the penalties or the enforcement action to really get out ahead of that particular issue? Whether that's, long weeds or, cars on the front lawn, whatever it is, that's probably the better way to tackle it is if we start seeing something that's getting out of hand, let's target penalties or enforcement on that particular issue.
I know, Mark, every week you could talk about something people aren't supposed to do.
I could. We should just do
People would love that newsletter.
that. I know, wouldn't that be fun?
That would not be fun.
I think that'd be so much
Park in the grass in the front yard? No.
That's how you make your kids love you, just tell them what they're doing wrong every week. That's what I do all the time.
Let's try to
Put your plate away, pick your socks up, do your homework. He loves me because of it. Any other questions for Russ?
No, I digressed, I'm sorry.
Hey, Russ.
Well,
One question.
Thank you.
it's that time.
Comment for Russ? Okay, thank you, Russ, you're good to go. We'll let you slip out before Rich continues to.
Harangue.
You have 10
So the
seconds.
chief did bring it up, Station 73, North Logan contract, coupled with the Spire District, what the county is discussing with double taxation, reducing property tax rates. All of these things have come up. Well, we're aware of some of the issues, but all of these things are coming up. And so we're going to be on top of it. Cache County is discussing some of that tonight.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll have answers, maybe we'll have more questions, we don't know. But all of this is somewhat in flux. I know we've had some conversations with council and let them know if these things are happening. But just bring it up in case someone says, why didn't you give us any warning?
Yeah,
We're looking at these.
I just worry that it's gonna be very complicated and perhaps detrimental to Logan's ability to function the way it has been.
Yeah. Multiple concerns here with us servicing North Logan, being reliant on that contract is a little problematic.
Well, the airport,
The airport is another factor.
yep.
The question is, the chief explained we've got needs in the Station 73 vicinity. It's not a fully blown station yet, coupled with North Logan, it is, but not without North Logan, it's.
It's not.
But the problem is, when do you staff it, when do you fund it? All of these are questions, we have no good answers, but we're hoping, depends on how the conversation goes at Cache County today. We may have some proposals, or we may not.
Yeah.
But we all know this is a concern. It does impact 2027, but it really impacts 2028 potentially. 2027 will get by either way. It's just timing. When is it the most fair to our citizens if we're to open a station, and how do we fund those things? So stay tuned is what I'm saying.
That's good. Any other questions
Stay
before we
wary.
adjourn
Yeah.
our
Stay scared.
Yeah. Okay,
Any other questions before we adjourn our workshop for the
and
municipal council? And
reassemble.
then we'll reassemble for the RDA workshop. But any other questions? We're adjourned. We now start our LDA workshop.
All right.
Reconvene
Reconvene.
as the redevelopment.
We can restart. I don't have to say reconvene. It was a false start. We're going again. Go, Kirk.
All right, good evening.
We've blown our timeline tonight. I've been doing so good for weeks.
All right, we're bringing home the home stretch, right? RDA,
Thanks for waiting.
let's talk RDA for a bit. 2027 budget, just a quick update on some projects that have been in the works for the last couple of years. Photo on the left, of course, is what used to be known as the Plaza 45 building. Progressing well. The developer, Voster Properties, that bought it, is completing the build out, and likely in the next several months we'll see some of the businesses opening there. Combination of retail, some service businesses, some office uses. So that'll complement the plaza, help animate that whole area. More so than it is now. Obviously, that's a very popular.
It's going to be retail on the main floor, right?
What's that?
It'll be retail on the main floor.
Part of the main floor. Yeah.
Well, I thought the original intent when we sold it was that the entire main floor was to be.
That was the original intent, and we worked long and hard with the developer to pursue that reality. Really, what, in my opinion, the truth of the matter is what a developer is running up against there is the parking. In fact, I just did
If the Bluebird would open, it seems that there would be plenty of parking because all the workers would be gone.
We don't get emails about that.
I know.
on a Friday afternoon, I think it was last week or the week prior, just because, we were brainstorming parking, what do we do in the future? And it wasn't a formal audit, but just by observation, the lot behind the plaza was, let's call it 99% full, with about 5 to 6 cars circulating looking for a spot. To add to that, the small lot between Jump-a-Moon and Indy Clover there on the corner, I mean, that's a small lot completely full. And even the lot across from the school district building on the south of the school district building across the street, which we encourage businesses to have their employees park there and contractors, that was probably 90% full.
And that was at what time on a Friday?
Excuse me?
What time on a Friday was that?
Good question.
Like, was it evening? Like, people are going to
No,
several-
it was
okay.
probably 11 to 1-ish,
Okay.
11 to 2, somewhere in there. Probably, the lunch hour.
The lunch
People-
hour, yeah.
Yeah.
It's like that every day except for Saturdays. Every day.
Well, I think there's a lot of employee parking back there, right?
But how else are they supposed to get to work, and where are they supposed to park? I mean,
Yeah, where are they supposed to park?
But
that's what I've been saying.
So
Thank you.
So circling back to Jeannie's question, that was the intent.
I can probably do it for you.
When you started looking at restaurant users, those kind of things.
But really, where else do they
Where it's not
expect to park
dedicated
2 blocks
parking
away? No.
and it's public parking, that's worrisome from an operator standpoint. Now, we know if they open there, people will find it, they'll walk, they'll get there. But when you're making a big investment with significant risk, they look at parking, and where we're transitioning into a more urban environment as opposed to just the mentality of park at the curb and walk right in, it caused.
But we don't want to build a parking garage because it's too scary.
I mean, I want to build a parking
Who
garage.
says it's too scary?
Oh, it isn't, well, I'll tell you.
Oh, I know. I would love to not park my vehicle
So-
outside.
More to come on the parking front, I guess,
Sounds
the bottom
great.
line there.
Well, I just feel, I'm sad that we anticipated that would be a location that would open onto the plaza and be some sort of restaurant or something that would help to serve the patrons of the plaza as well as create an experience downtown.
To throw a piece of candy at that comment, there will be a retail function there that people, I think, will be very excited about.
Yeah.
It won't be the the total enchilada, I'm using a lot of,
Food analogies.
I ate dinner too, I don't mind. But
Taking up
I think
parking,
people
putting a
will
food
find
truck
that to
out
be a fun addition to the ground level of the Plaza 45 building.
Okay.
More to come.
Cool, yeah.
So announcements, I'm sure, will be forthcoming from the developer and or the businesses themselves. The photo on the right, of course, is the old fire station.
Seems like they have parking.
A lot of
issues, too.
departments, including economic development, were involved with the sale of that. Ironically, the buyer of that building is the same that bought Plaza 45 and just doing a great job. It's Foster Properties. So that building is mostly done, got some offices already in there. Vessel Kitchen, of course, has been open for a few months. And great project. It turned out better than I thought you could do with that exterior the way it was. So moving into this year's budget.
Oh, there's not really pink on the target, is there?
Looks like it'll be
red?
covered by something.
That's insulation or something.
Oh, at the bottom, yeah,
Yeah.
thank you. That's not paint.
Kurt's like, you're colorblind, that's right.
I was like, no, there's no pink on the
They're
target.
rebranding to Pink Target.
So we went from, the last couple of years, we've had a modest budget. This budget's modest too, but we do have one exciting new addition to it, and it is the Cache Valley Marketplace project, which includes obviously the Super Target, which will open this summer.
A date so far undisclosed.
Yeah, it's close though. I mean, you look at that project all the way around and it's very, very close. So they were just doing some landscaping in the parking islands last week. Project also includes 312 residential units that they've started pulling permits for, and then of course some future retail to the south of the project.
I keep getting asked, is
Yeah.
there going to be a hotel there or is it just apartment?
No
No.
hotel.
Okay.
No hotel.
Are they?
There was originally going to be a hotel. but
Okay, there was
will-
originally,
yeah,
but
there
there's
will
no
not be now.
longer.
Unfortunately.
It was a target requirement that they couldn't have a hotel.
Oh,
The Pink
really?
Target.
Yeah. That's what I was told by the developer. Anyway.
No hotel, but there will be residential.
Well, the residential is always going to be there. Instead of where the hotel is, mostly, you'll have the box store retail. So they've
call
come
them
through planning
mid-box.
commission and city council,
Yeah.
big box,
Mid-box.
or mid-box, thank you.
Like what size of? Yeah.
60,000 maybe for one building, maybe 20 the other, or some
You
combination.
know exactly what that is in size, right?
Yeah, totally. I know that
Perfect.
in my
No,
head. Yep.
I thought it's one building
One building,
with
Two storefronts, two or three.
2 to 3 tenants.
yeah.
But those
So
tenants will be-
size of a Barnes and Noble in one, maybe, or something like that.
But not the size of a Trader Joe's.
Well, well, Target's gonna have food, so you can imagine that that's probably not a plan.
Yeah.
Keep calling them, Melissa. Come on.
I'm trying. I have been trying for years.
Going as good as the rec center?
Yeah, pretty much.
All right.
Okay, I'm
poke the wounds.
trying. Okay.
On the revenue side of the budget, just one revenue source of that of course is tax increment, property tax, totaling $610,000. That's an estimated figure. Of course, it's to be calculated and generated. And fund reserve, we're pulling no monies from the existing fund reserve this year. So on the revenue side, total of $610,000. We do have, just so you're aware, 3 active project areas in the redevelopment agency. Active meaning tax increments still being generated and collected by the RDA. Those 3 areas are the Auto Mall CDA, which is out north by the Young Auto dealerships, Honda and Toyota, out in that area. South Main River CRPA, that stands for Community Reinvestment Project Area. I know I threw a lot of acronyms at you right there.
That's where the big hole is.
That is the under the road
Yeah, it's like
highway.
the Adams
Oh,
area.
yeah. Which, in my mind, that's going to be just a great addition.
It's going
The
to be
tunnel?
awesome.
Oh, yeah, it's gonna be
I'm
cool, but I
really
mean, right
excited
now
about
it's a huge hole.
Yeah, that is going to be.
And slow traffic, we might add.
Yeah,
Not just on Main, but
everywhere.
first east, first west, everywhere.
Well, you close Second East, and part of Main Street, there's no place else to go.
It's hard.
Yeah.
It's construction season, right?
And people would just ride their
It's
bike.
just a lot of construction.
And then the third one there is what we just discussed. We call that the 1400 North Main CRPA. That includes that whole area around where the Cache Valley Marketplace is being built. On the expense side, significant items are really obligations that are tied to the development agreements in those active project areas. And then we've also got some general and administrative expenses. So with that, that's my presentation, unless you want to ask
So Kurt,
questions. Yeah.
what is the status of the development agreement for the housing portion of the Adams Wealth Management project?
There's going to be housing.
So, I mean, they did submit, as you're aware of, the one time that came through Planning Commission.
Right.
2 or 3 years ago, I think. So
Well, they've
they're,
done twice.
yeah, I would expect another submission here. I don't know, have the timing for that, but they're working on that. They're
Are they still planning on-
visualizing what that concept's going to look like and how
They're
many.
still planning on doing the housing.
Yes.
Okay. How long do they have to do that before their increment expires?
Well, technically, the increment, what we did on that agreement is there was a cap with with a deadline on the housing. So that
Right.
deadline's come and gone. So what happened is the cap on that incentive agreement ratcheted downwards to the tune of, I think it was 160.
So we don't owe them any money when they build
Not
it?
on that, right. Unless, I mean, they could always reapproach if they've added elements or added, something that would warrant a discussion. But no, to answer your question, we do not owe them anything.
Okay.
On the housing.
Thank you.
Other questions?
Can I ask a really dumb question?
It's
No
not
such
dumb.
thing.
Because I'm new. Why are you separate from our regular municipal council meeting? Why is the redevelopment?
I just like to fly around.
You just say your own
Kirk doesn't get
person?
along with anyone else,
From
so.
the planning department?
Yeah.
In some cities, you see that as one unit. Ever since I've been here, I've just been associated with the mayor's office. Of course, I interact all the time, daily, probably even with Russ and his staff.
Wasn't it part
But
of
then
how
again,
that
I
was
spent a lot of
structured?
time with the mayor,
Yeah.
previous mayors, as far as
But
what are
wasn't
those
it-
next new opportunities and things like that.
Wasn't it part of the way it was structured when we started it? Because it was structured as an independent piece
It's a
of the
separate
city?
legal entity
Yeah,
over which you are the board.
Right.
You're not the city council, you're the board, even though you're the exact same people.
So separate from all our other departments.
So I need
We
another business card.
also have a municipal building authority that it's dormant, so we don't utilize it, but that we do have an established municipal building authority over which you are the board, a completely separate entity. And we also have,
We could have more meetings.
there's one more, like a housing authority or something else. Shoot.
Bragg
Anyway, there's
has a
another
housing
separate
authority
legal
board,
entity
not us.
over which you're the board, which is also dormant. And so it is a completely separate legal entity, and it does things differently than the city. The city acts for the benefit of the city and all city resources. In this entity, you actually receive resources from the county, the school district, and the city, and act separately, even though everybody acknowledges you're the city council and you act in the benefit of the city.
Yeah, so like you, Melissa, I have two titles too. You're a municipal council person, and you're also an RDA board member.
and Mike
I'm-
should have put it on the
And
business cards to
I'm the
start.
executive director of the redevelopment agency. The mayor's the chief administrative officer, but I have
Is
an
he
RDA
paid
title and
by the
and
RDA?
a city
Yes.
And
title.
city
so-
tax.
Yes.
Okay.
Or is he paid?
Okay.
He's paid by the general fund. It used to be
I thought it was
that the
on.
RDA paid his salary or reimbursed his salary to the general fund. RDA doesn't have any money anymore, so they don't.
I thought,
We didn't talk about that, Kirk.
yeah. I
Let's
thought
find you some money.
I
forever
know,
it's
how
been
are you
that
not
way.
making money?
Let's find some.
Sadly, we're gonna let
Whoa. That's why we saved him for the end? I think we need to.
Betty deserves.
We are not doing that.
That's why we need to
Any
look at
Well,
other?
we
new
are getting enough
RDAs.
tax revenue, we're getting enough
Why we
tax,
need to look at
610.
I know, but that's enough tax increment to keep the
Reimburse.
salary within the RDA.
Kirk wanted a raise. I'm just kidding. We wanted to preserve all the resources the RDA had. because, I mean, they were dwindling. It was at one time, they were paying his salary and reimbursing us for the overhead that we invest in the RDA. It just doesn't have the ability to do it anymore. That 610, almost 100% of that is paying out on contracts that we've established. If we grew the RDA more, potentially it could come back.
Right. Well, I've always maintained we needed to grow the RDA. Sorry, go.
We're also limited, usually when we set up an RDA area, 80%,
Yeah.
90% of those revenues coming in need to be spent on RDA activities.
Right.
Only
I guess you-
5% for administration.
5% admin,
Oh,
which
so that's not very
typically would
much.
cover salaries and benefits
That's
and
like-
those kind of things, so.
30 grand. Yeah.
So it's just
Kurt
like,
doesn't want to decrease his.
You don't want to be done at 30?
it's sort of like
Help me.
CDBG in that way.
It is,
Yeah.
Can you imagine? He'd be like, Jeannie, please don't report my house, there's 9 people. We're adjourned. Let's go home. Thank you, Curtis.
You're welcome.